Hey there. I'm just shuffling the Disney deck before bed here. Playing video games and dancing. Swing your partner round and round. Jump, jump, run, duck, jump, shoot. Score, boy, am my thumbs tired. She broke down and let me in. Let me know where she's been. Been down one time, been down 2 times, never going back again. What's that song about? She broke down and let me in. Or he broke down and let me in, right? What's that song? Chameleons. Chameleons, like Rapunzel's pet Pascal, can change the color of their body to blend into their surroundings. So this is talking about a player that sort of pretends to be something they're not. The Lion King. The lion cub Simba overcomes tragedy to take his rightful place as king of the jungle. She broke down and let me in. I gotta look up these lyrics because I don't think I'm singing them right. But that song is ringing in my head. What is it called? Never Going Back Again. Never Going Back Again lyrics. Yeah, she broke down and let me in. Made me see where I've been. Been down 1 time, been down 2 times, never going back again. You don't know what it means to win. Come down and see me again. Been down 1 time, been down 2 times, never going back again. That's all the lyrics? Like, that's the whole song? I think it is. Isn't that funny? They just repeat that the whole time. It's a great song. I really like it. Yep, there's an instrumental break. And that's the song. She broke down and let me in. Okay, so basically, it's like someone waking up to who they have been in the face of a woman who is giving them presents. Vulnerability, and like just authenticity. And then this person says they've been down, like they've been shown who they've been. They've been down again and again, and then that they're not going back there. It's like the player becomes the king. He doesn't have to play the games anymore because he actually becomes the king. Wow. I mean, whose story is this? If it's a story that I'm going to be a part of, I love it. But, but as far as I know, I'm just the storyteller at this point. Okay. Anything else here? Jafar. Oh, of course there's a bad guy in the story. An evil grand vizier whose wishes to become the world's most powerful sorcerer. When I asked, like, what does this mean? It's because this player who turned king, I think they caught something on the way out, like a little bad decision that is haunting them, maybe. Yep, a bad decision is haunting this player. But you know what? I just heard, but this player has the skills to get away from the bad guy. Bad girl, bad guy, whoever this is that's just doing power struggles and unfair relating and maybe using this person for their kingly things, for what they think that they can gain, right? But this player has this chameleon ability. So they can utilize this to get away from this so-called bad guy. That's the story I'm getting. Okay? And it's like, she broke down and let me in. That made me know where I've been. Made me see where I've been. And it's like, you don't know you're with the bad guy until you see the comparison between a bad guy and a good guy. Sometimes, right? It's like if you think everybody's like that until you see someone who's not. What's this dancing about here? Swing your partner round and round. And this player has been going round and round and round with this, trying to see the truth. Does the player see the truth? Made me see where I'd been. Yeah, they see the truth when they look at this woman with an open heart. That's when they see the truth. A race. Lightning McQueen, Chick Hicks, and the King burn rubber to be named Piston Cup champion. Wow. It's a Disney card, so it's an epiphany, right? Lightning. It's an epiphany. And then it's like the King burn rubber to be named. It's like once this player realizes their actual potential, they speed right to it. They get hit with the epiphany, like the realization, the truth. The truth is shown to them. Made me see where I'd been. Been down one time. Been down 2 times. Never going back again. Because it's already been again and again and again. That's I want to point this out though. The race, these are usually when you're racing, it's like laps, right? It's like, because you're going to use the chameleon abilities, because this player is using the chameleon abilities to get out, it may appear like they're still going laps. Anything else here? I feel like I want to grab another deck, but let me see if anything else comes out of this. Okay, these two. Grumpy. Grumpy. Grouchy dwarf who gradually accepts Snow White and rushes to her aid when she is in danger. Wow. Wow. I think this player didn't really want to see where he'd been. And it's like he warmed up to it after being exposed to it. It's like it melted his heart. It melted his heart, just like Grumpy's heart was melted by Snow White. Okay, and then we got Baymax. I'll read this card. A kind-hearted, inflatable healthcare robot who becomes a superhero to heal Hiro Hamata's broken heart. Are you satisfied with your care? I'm asking like, well, who's the healer in this? And I'm tempted to just say, oh, it's this pure-hearted woman that made them see where they'd been. Because the frozenness of the heart was melted away, and then the pain was there. And that's a heartbreak, right? And of course anyone's going to be grumpy when they've got to now deal with heartbreak that was kind of solidified in there, and that they had been coping in a way that made it so that they didn't have to. But this is sort of saying, like, the way this story goes is that, you know, it's okay. Like, it's gonna be okay. Alright, let's get one of these. I think also, like, if whoever's in this storyline, like this person who's going through this major transformation from player to king, would need to know that, yeah, the way to get there is through the pain of the heartbreak. Like attracts like. So you have, this player has the same heart as the open-hearted woman that allowed them to see who they are and where they've been, and that's how their heart melted, because they saw themselves. Come back and see me again. You don't know what it means to win. That's that race. Come round and see me again. Interesting. So that's a Fleetwood Mac song, in case you don't know, and it's an old song, but it's still a good one. 1977, I think I read. That is when I was 2 years old. Like attracts like. Okay. I still want to pull some more cards. This is very interesting. Let's just see. Okay, so I'm going to ask, what's the next step? And I guess this would be for whoever's watching this. What's the next step? I mean, when I pull a card asking what's the next step, you know, whatever comes out, it's like you have to run that by your own intuition first, right? Chemistry, come over. The next step is following your passion, is letting things come together. You wanted a sign. I just heard you wanted a sign. It's 12:12 when I say that. Let's see. And then we got the patience card came out. And then dog, best friends. Yeah. Kindred hearts. Kindred hearts. So there's a coming together of kindred hearts after someone who had been either just not taking things very seriously, playing around, actually playing people, I think there was some playing people, but after someone who was kind of doing that actually sees themselves from the eyes of another, maybe sees themselves more purely and more plainly, and then realizes like what they've been doing and what potential they actually have. Maybe they get to see their potential through the eyes of the other. And then I think that this allows them to come up out of their shadow and then be on equal ground with somebody that inspired this. I mean, it's not that they weren't on equal ground the whole time. It's just that you could be, the perfect match for somebody, but if they're in their shadow, if they're coping in ways that make you incompatible, then, you're not compatible. Add compassion. So the way you add compassion, this is the dark and the light of it deck. And what this means is you're not in compassion. And add compassion means understanding, means love. It means like when you go through a transformation for this, no matter which person you are, add compassion to the situation means that you are allowing for a process to be happening without a judgment of it, without a thinking it should have been different, without a feeling guilty or regret. It's like having this view of like someone who has gone through a difficult process that they needed in order to learn what they needed to know. It's like, how can you not have compassion for that? We're human beings. Like, we all have difficult stuff to traverse. And this is just saying, like, make sure you have added compassion to the situation, meaning even for Jafar, right? Like, even for the bad guy. It's like that person's doing their best. Like, if they're dealing on a way that, like, is manipulative and trying to gain, actually playing, just like the other person, right? They're trying to fool people and get what they want out of them. If they're doing stuff like that, it's like, how do you add compassion to that? Well, you understand that they're just human and they're doing their best and that's all they knew how to do. It doesn't mean that you have to put up with it or stay around for it. It just means like that you're not leaving the situation in a way that causes you to hold on to a grudge or a judgment, because holding on to a grudge or a judgment causes you to have to live it out again until you understand and add compassion. Compassion assures that you can leave the situation without having to return to it to learn how to give compassion. So if you can't give compassion, you'll be given opportunity to learn what that is and what it entails. But from my experience, compassion comes naturally as a byproduct of healing, and that means that you are neutralizing the energy, so you are understanding your own perspective on it, acknowledging and validating your own perspective, accepting that that's where you're at, being present with any emotions about it, which brings you into the more neutral place, and then you understand that the opposite is also true from what you thought and from what you experienced, and then knowing that both things are true and that you can remain neutral and know that both things are true, that's where compassion is born. It's just there naturally. Because it's like, oh, well, I totally get how that could have been the case, right? Maybe I chose a different way, but I get why this person could have chosen that way. Safe and secure, and this is the light of it. It's like this situation is protected. Like you are protected as you go through this situation. Answer the call. And you need a safe container. So if you're going to do some processing, like I just talked about, where you're going to need to balance out some energy, one of the first things I talk about is needing to acknowledge and validate. But what I never say, and I probably should add it in, is you need a safe container to do that in. You need a person you trust. You need a space that you trust. Maybe you don't need a person, but a journal. Like you need a space to do that where you feel comfortable, and you feel safe. Like you have, no one's going to bother you, or you're going to let yourself cry if you need to. Things like that. We got very soon. We got deception. Interesting. And then forgive her. Yeah, this is asking for this situation to be a conscious uncoupling, right? If there's like a bad guy in the situation, it doesn't have to be a her, it could be a him, depending on the storyline, but it sounds like it's very likely a her. And it's saying like, don't leave with a grudge, like forgiveness. So forgiveness requires you to honor the way you feel before you let it go. Like, understand how you feel and process it and give your own presence to your own feelings on that. And then when those move, you'll be able to start to understand the other person a little bit more. And the understanding doesn't mean you have to continue in the pattern. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is saying not to. But it is saying to not leave it as like a judgment or a grudge within your energy body. Like, clean it up all the way. That's what a king would do. Clean it up all the way. The king cleans it up all the way. The lion cub Simba overcomes tragedy to take the rightful place as king of the jungle. See, it's talking about overcoming the crap, the deception, the nefarious person, the lies. And there's an immature girl. The immaturity, yeah. Taking the high road. You want something more equal. And then it says go the distance. Use, oh, what's that? Group date. Interesting. What's group date about? That song's still in my head. She broke down and let me in. Made me see where I'd been. What's the group date about? I got too many cards, but I guess I'll look at them both. Sloth. They move a little slowly. Muscles, flex them if you got them. And lightning. An electrical flash from a thundercloud, shocking. I think it's saying ease into something, take your time, because you may not have the muscles built for what you're about to do. And it's saying you don't, okay, so say you're a player. Say you're going to build a friendship with a best friend. If we looked at the reasons why you were playing, right? It was probably has a lot to do with not keeping people close, not trusting people to really like commit, be monogamous, have your heart, hold it, kindly, treat it well, all that kind of stuff. So to be in a friendship that's genuine with a person who is authentic and that matches you in your heart, it's going to feel so vulnerable. It's going to feel like you're exposed. It's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. And this is saying, like, just take it slow, because you're going to build up the muscles that it takes to do that. It's going to be heavy lifting at first. And the electrical flash from a thundercloud, shocking, is saying, like, you're going to get triggered and it's going to come from nowhere, and you're going to be like, why do I feel like crying right now? Why do I feel so vulnerable right now? Like, none of your old ways of doing it are going to work anymore, because the king doesn't need those ways. And you're becoming the king. So, or if you're another person in this story, the person is becoming the king, so they're going to have to take their time. They're going to have to build their muscles up to what this is the potential of, which is a best friends type situation at the very least. There was some passion here, but I think this is kind of saying, like, take things slow. Like, you don't have to jump in like a player would on passion, right? It's like, you're going to get a bunch of epiphanies. You're going to get realizations about yourself, about the other. You're going to want to take it slow so that you can become the version of yourself that can process and handle and be this, what's being reflected back to you, the potential of what's being reflected back to you. Treat it like it's an experiment, a laboratory, a place for conducting scientific experiments or making magic potions. Yeah, it's saying, like, you're building something that is not familiar to you and might not even exist. So when you build this, you want it to be secure. You want to be built on a foundation that can hold it. And the best way to do that is to build it slowly as an experiment, figure out, and one thing that, if you're going to be successful, one ingredient that you need is to just not give up. And saying, answer the call, right? It's like, it's going to take time, and it's might not be easy, but you are able to build the skills to do it, it's saying. And to take your throne, to take, like, that position that you're meant to be in. Roadmap to your healing is what I just heard. You have a roadmap to your healing at your disposal. And then I just heard something about that word disposal. Like, interesting word, disposal, isn't it? Oh my gosh. Like, do you like is this something that you want to throw away? That's what I'm hearing. Like, interesting word, isn't it? Disposal. Okay. So, I feel like this is an opportunity that you have to take, because you could throw it away. If this isn't happening for you now, maybe it happened for you in the past, and this is being explained so that you understand. Maybe this is going to happen in the future, and this is being explained so that you'll be prepared. It's just a general life lesson, right, as well, because, like, we are faced with opportunities, and we do get to choose things, right? There was a comment on a post. Well, I hadn't logged into Facebook in a while, and then when I did, it was like a month ago, someone replied to the comment that I left on their post, and they were talking about, originally it was about, they were having difficulty with violent impulses, and they were talking about it in terms of Pluto and Scorpio energy, which I'm pretty familiar with Pluto and Scorpio energy, and I'm also pretty familiar with violence in my life, which you've heard me talk about, growing up with. Hold on a sec. I'm just, like, extremely burning up here. Well, it's pretty known in communities of astrology that certain placements can, like, indicate, like, more violence than others, right? Sorry, I just have to do this. Okay. hair gets too hot sometimes. So anyways, this person was like kind of saying, like, they were posting anonymously, first of all, because they didn't feel comfortable sharing it, but talking about these impulses of violence. And I just mentioned that, like, surrender is Pluto's best friend, because that's one of the major things that I've learned about Scorpio energy, is that surrender is what you learn to overcome these kind of darker impulses. You surrender that desire or that impulse to do those darker things. This might be relevant for this player type person, who might have like inclinations towards lust, and that is something that's going to need to be surrendered, right? But this person commented like, well, people say surrender, but what happens when you surrender to the desire to be violent? And I was just like, so a month later, here I am getting this message, and I'm like, oh, interesting that this is where they took this. And to me, it's like, well, that's not surrender. Like if you have an impulse toward violence, and you say, oh, I'll just surrender and do it, and it's like, well, that's not what surrender is. Surrender isn't making a choice to give up your free will and give in to what it is, like the impulse. That's not what surrender is. Surrender would be giving up the thing that would make you want to do the darker thing, that would make you want to act in shadow. But this person was talking about actually, having an impulse that they were going to give into, which means they were contemplating it, which means it wasn't in their subconscious. It was something they were fully conscious of, that they had an impulse towards violence and that they were deciding what to do about it. The only reason that they would decide what to do about it is because it carried consequences. And they knew that, right? If I act in this impulse, it carries consequences. So this is relevant for this player person. It's like, look at what the consequences of what your decisions are that you're carrying, right? That you're making. And I was just kind of pointing out in my reply comment to this person that, like, I kind of want to read what I wrote. I guess that's what I'm going to do. I'll have to log in and get the comment. She broke down and let me in. Made me see where I've been. Been down one time. Been down 2 times. Never going back again. The music is really the best part, I guess. The lyrics are like, oh, okay. But I really like the music on that. It's just like a little ding, ding, ding. It'd probably be an easy song to learn to play, I'm guessing. I'm just waiting for the page to open. It's rather warm in here. My internet just decided to blank out for a moment. I'm glad I have internet. Apparently there have been some people without it for a while since the storm. I feel like this comment is going to be very underwhelming by the time I get there. This build up. I thought it would be much easier to just log in and get it. Oh well, it is what it is. Okay. Answer to a question. Okay. That's not the question. This is the question. Okay, no. Okay, here we go. Surrender is the best friend of Pluto. Alchemy does not happen while in resistance. That's what I said. And then they said, I'm certain most would say surrender, but what does surrendering to a desire for destruction look like? I'm sure it's not what most would think. Oh, this is 2 months ago. Okay. So I'm late to the party on this, but here's what I said. Surrendering to a desire for destruction is not surrender. It's fear, weakness, unconsciousness, etc. Whatever it may be, it is not at all surrender. Surrender has these elements: acceptance, understanding that you're powerless to the changes happening. Surrender does not necessarily come from a victim stance like, oh, I have no control, so I can't be bothered. But that perspective can get you there. Surrender can also come from faith in the divine orchestration and a lack of resistance to what is. That is weakness. Surrender would be giving up the desire. It's knowing you have a choice. If you have a desire for destruction, you likely contemplate giving into it because you know there are negative consequences for giving into it. If there were not, then you would not be contemplating such a choice. To apply the concept of surrender to your own will is going to have consequences too. So what you are really talking about is a choice. Surrender isn't applied to justify one choice or another. Surrender is what you apply to the item in the equation that you know is threatening to cause you to act in violence, or threatening to cause you to act a fool in some way, right? Like lust, right? You to surrender the lust. You are fully aware of choosing that which you choose. Surrender the desire is easier said than done, but accepting that you have a desire you would like to surrender gets you halfway there. The rest is presence and understanding why you have it. It is very likely tied to trauma, but the fact that you are conscious enough about it to recognize your desire in it means that it is entirely in your hands. You recognized the pattern. That is the first step to alchemy. Validate why you feel what you feel next. It's there for a reason. So you are studying violence from within it, or you are studying lust from within it. It's a perspective that can be valuable when it's used for something higher-minded. After you validate yourself, accept that it is in your hands. Then be present with how that feels. Scary, maybe. Powerful, maybe. You may have regrets or shame. Each of these feelings needs your presence, and you need to be present with each feeling in order to become the version of yourself that can handle these feelings, passing through like the wave of energy that they are. The only reason a pattern was formed for you to notice was because you were not yet the version of yourself who could process and handle those feelings responsibly. So the opportunity is there for you each time the loop repeats, and each time you become more likely to be that version of yourself that handles it. When you are that version of yourself, study what presence really is if you are not very familiar with it. Then you will easily surrender the entertainment of that which you have already mastered. Surrender is not the answer to everything, but when it comes to Plutonic themes, it is often a key element. And let me tell you, lust is a Plutonic theme. That completes that.